You got the federal government sending hundreds of unaccompanied alien children to multiple locations around the country, and they don't tell anybody that they're doing it. It's all part of, what is just a disaster. Anyway, here to go over all of this, we've got Gabe Pacheco is with us, and he's a spokesman for the National Border Patrol Council, Local 1613 out of San Diego. Chris Crane is the president of the National Ice Council. They're on the front lines of what's going on here. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
All right, let's start with you, Gabe. You're working with the National Border Patrol Council. Is that true? 70% of agents are being pulled off patrols for paperwork? Are they being told to bring in extra sets of clothes because they're seeing diseases that we haven't seen in decades?
Absolutely true. In certain areas along the border, you have it where it's just wide open, where agents are reassigned to different things. And so it's difficult because what's going on is that you have these agents who are pulled off, and which could sometimes actually put an agent at risk for officer safety. Let's suppose you have an area where you usually have two agents that are there, and you have pull one off, and then that place is open, and it's potentially dangerous there along the border. And it depends on where you're at, of course.
Yeah, all right. But you're one of the most outspoken people out there, and I know that other people that have spoken out have been told to shut up. But from what I'm reading here, Border Patrol management, they're aware of this massive scabies outbreak, but they ignore the recommendations. And what's his name? Ronald Zermano is the health and safety. Yeah, he's the health and safety director for the San Diego chapter. He wrote a top California Border Patrol official in a July 4th letter, and he's saying that, their agents have contacted scabies sometimes during the process of literally processing these illegal immigrants from Texas. Is that true?
That's true. We actually have several agents who've come down with scabies, and that has been happening. We've actually had an agent who came down with bacterial pmonia and for being exposed to these people.
By the way, bacterial pneumonia is the pneumonia that will kill you. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. And this is exactly what our fears were, was that, there's a potential for something to go on. And I know that Border Patrol, we're doing our job. We're being ordered to put these people on these planes, basically to hand them over to ICE, and then ICE would bring them over into San Diego, and we would process them. And we were told that there was be medical screening, and medical screening while they got here as well. Well, I found out subsequent later on that actually the agents were given a script, so they were to read the script, and if they answered a certain question in a certain way, then okay, well, that was going to be good enough for the medical screening, and it wasn't necessarily a health professional who was actually doing the screening. Yes, Border Patrol does have paramedics. We do have EMTs, and they can recognize the signs. But if you're giving this to another agent who has no idea what he's doing, and he's just reading the script, you have a potential there for something to get past him.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Chris, you're the president of the National Ice Council, and are you seeing the same thing with the people you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. We deal with things a little bit differently than the Border Patrol does, but in terms of our fugitive operations teams are being shut down. Those are the folks that are supposed to be out on the street looking for bad guys. The criminal alien program, that's supposed to be in the jails, looking for criminals inside jails and prisons. All of those folks are being sucked into this mess, and basically our officers and agents are changing diapers and babysitting just like the Border Patrol is.
So in other words, the border's never been more porous than it is now.
Not in my career, Sean. Yeah. And in terms of the illnesses and stuff, we have officers and agents that they're just not going home to their families because they're coming in contact with these illnesses every day, and there's really no other option for them if they want to protect their families is they just don't go home.
So what are they doing? They're going to, Motel 6s or Quality Inns or,
Absolutely. They're shacking up with buddies that don't have families or going to hotels or sleeping in their cars, doing whatever they can.
They don't even make enough money. Look, even a Hilton Garden is expensive. Even those different places that begins to add up. They're not making that much money, are they?
No, they're not.
Yeah. And how many of these
when
guys...
when it comes to your family, you do what you have to do.
How many of these guys are getting sick and getting diseases?
We don't have any confirmed cases yet of anything, but we're having some pretty widespread instances where officers are just saying that they're getting sick and going home.
So what to do at this point? I kind of like Governor Perry's suggestion that we send down the National Guard, at least temporarily, while we hire more people. But, like everything else with this president, he seems checked out and he doesn't seem to have any sense of urgency. So what do you do?
Sean, I know that if you sent the National Guard down to the border, they cannot arrest. They do not have authority to arrest illegal aliens because that's not their job unless we gave it to them. They could help out, but I understand that the president came out with a budget of $3.7 billion, almost $4 billion, and a lot of it is just to take care of these children. What we need is actually Border Patrol pay reform to get passed. We need to have our ICE counterparts to be able to do their jobs effectively and to be able to go out there and the community. Right now, we know the San Diego County Sheriff's Department is not honoring the 247 hold, which is basically an immigration detainer. And so when you have these things, this is just like a perfect storm for these people to be allowed to stay here and not to be taken out. I mean, you're going to have a big move within the state, the local, and the federal government to actually have these people deported. And I know some people are out there, you're fear-mongering, you're being a racist because you want to deport these people. I'm Hispanic, okay, but I'm an American, and I love this country, and I want to let people know out there what's going on. I mean, I understand that the president's got a job. I understand that the Border Patrol's got a job, and we are all trying to do the job that we best possibly can do with what we have. But people need to understand what's going on out there. And, you know, just talking to the representatives, letting them know that they support the Border Patrol, that they support ICE, that they want to have these interior enforcements, that they want to do these things. So that's a part of it. That's the first part of it. The next thing is actually not hiring judges, actually hiring more Border Patrol agents.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this, Chris, because you were told to leave your office, no longer perform your law enforcement duties. They took away, 25% of your pay, and you're only able to perform your duty as union president, but not law enforcement? What's that about?
That's correct. Well, you know, under this administration, whistleblowers are not treated real well. I think we've seen that in a lot of different agencies under this administration, and you know that's exactly what's happening with me. You know, as a whistleblower coming out speaking publicly over the last 4 years about the fact that the administration won't enforce our nation's immigration laws, you know, has led to a lot of whistleblower retaliation, and we're experiencing it. It's widespread. With all of our union representatives and officers and agents out in the field that are trying to speak out and tell America what's really happening here.
So whenever an agent speaks out, they're told either shut up or what happens in your case, right?
Absolutely. Or, you know, you're going to lose your job.
Unbelievable. All right. Listen, you guys are on the front line. We really appreciate you being with us. Thank you both.